one thing is thinking about using your course as a tool to purchase your time back from yourself.
Yeah.
So instead of having to play 25 gigs a month, you can play 4 to 8, make just as much, if not more money. And so now your calendar is clear. And what I usually do is I break my day up into like social media, writing, recording, and what things can I outsource?
Yeah.
Because now you start thinking like my time has a certain price on it. And when you're getting paid crap, you don't think that way. You're just like,
Right.
I need to accumulate enough money to eat to get to the next
Yeah.
month.
And you have to
But
do
then when
everything
you have,
yourself.
yeah, and when you have a surplus, you go, okay, I'm actually losing money from my own business if I sit here and I send out emails all day.
Yeah.
I'm literally losing money. So I'm going to pay someone, $100 to do that, because if it takes 10 hours or whatever, it would take me 10 hours.
Yeah.
Is 10 hours of my time worth $100? No, not anymore.
Exactly. This is the Well-Paid Musician Success Series. And what I've been doing for the last couple months is interviewing some of our best performing members who are generous enough to volunteer the information, their experience, and what it is that really helped them strive. This will be a treat because today's guest is Dylan Galvin, based in Los Angeles, California. He joined the Well-Paid Musician Program 2021, I believe. And he's been a very active member in our community, always willing to share his knowledge and help his fellow performers out. So I'm really excited that he could be on here today. So welcome, Dylan.
Thank you for having me, Matt. It is nice to be here.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to share this link into our private community for the people who are asking, what's going on? Where's Dylan? Where are you guys? So why don't you, while I'm doing that, why don't you give us a little bit of background?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Dylan Galvin. I was named after Bob Dylan, and my family is originally from the Northeast, New England, Boston. And I grew up in Maryland, went back to Boston for Berklee College of Music. I found out there was a college that you could go to and not have to do math and science. And I was like, I don't even care. What else? That's all I need to hear. Sign me up. I didn't apply anywhere else. I only applied there. I got accepted. And
Awesome.
after that, I have been doing full music and pretty much nothing else since I graduated. And I made myself basically commit to, I must do music or I will starve. I will not have a plan B or a plan C or a day job. I will only do music, and it's figure that out or die. And if you force yourself to do that, you will be amazed at your ability to survive. But only if you do that. If you give yourself a lifeline, you'll generally do the lifeline and slowly wean away from music. But I'm out here in Los Angeles now because...
A very similar experience, just
yeah.
to interject real quick. Yeah, when we started a family, same thing for me. So go ahead.
Yeah. And I came out, I'm from Southern Maryland. Shout out to my people in Southern Maryland. But I realized that Southern Maryland has a very country music scene. And sometimes people, they like to kind of get the momentum needed. You usually have to kind of steer yourself in that direction. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not willing to do that. So I just came out to LA just to kind of see what would happen. I had no idea. I don't recommend doing that, but that's what I did. It was very hard the first few years, and I finally got my, things grounded, and then COVID happened. And then right after COVID, right after that, I think I started doing the well-paid musician stuff, but all my, career as a cover artist, I've always used cover songs to play to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But really, I want to do original music, and I didn't want to get sidetracked on this. Like, people, they do a side quest. They go, okay, I'm just going to work this job to pay for my originals, and then next thing you know, like,
yeah,
that's your career.
Yeah.
And the good thing about cover songs is it's kind of like a middle ground where you do get paid, you're still rehearsing your music, you're staying sharp, you're just keeping your craft intact with the work that you're doing, and you're getting paid. But the only problem is a lot of the bars and restaurants, not only are they soul crushing gigs where someone's playing, they're watching the sports game on a TV over your head, but you're getting paid for crap. And this, like your course was the literal solution towards something I was trying to figure out but couldn't do it. So, and now here I am.
Awesome. So how long have you been in LA?
Since 2017, I think.
Okay. And then since then you got married and you and your wife, first baby, like a couple months ago?
Yeah, we have a little baby. She's about 7 months, I think, 7 or 8 months now. I got married in we just celebrated our second anniversary.
Awesome, man.
And it was, thank you, man. And it was very timely that, I could eat ramen noodles and live in a 1-bedroom apartment and have no luxuries, but I would not feel so great about signing my wife and baby up for that as well. So I needed more income, and the course came along right in time for that. So now I have a much higher income threshold than I did. So
that's awesome.
It's for a good cause too. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I think is really cool about your story is that, like you were talking about, you are also a songwriter and you do the artist side of things. And I think there's this kind of misconception that it's all or nothing, that you either like play covers or you play all originals. And, that's just, I feel like it's a silly argument. I could give you thousands of examples of how that's not true. But really what it's about is, like you're saying, like paying the bills and then keeping a focus on what your end goal is. And it's a lot quicker to make money playing covers, performing, than it is to play original music. Not to say that you can't do it. And it's amazing to see that you're working on it. I write my own songs too, and I perform that as well. But for me, having 2 kids and my wife didn't work for the first 7 years that we had kids, like I had to pay the bills, and so I had to focus on that. But during that time, I still released, an EP, and then I started doing singles on a regular basis. So it's not all or nothing. And so one of the things I wanted to discuss today is let's talk about that first. How do you navigate the 2 sides of your business, of your music career?
Well, for a while I wasn't. I was basically just being a cover artist full time. Like my goal in going into covers is like, well, I'll make some money and I'll be able to pay for stuff, and then I'll save up, and then I'll be able to do my originals. And it totally didn't work like that, because I was getting paid $200 to $300 per gig, and you have to play 5 nights a week to do that. So you're just a cover musician at that point.
And you don't have time for anything else.
And I think a lot of people they think that those are the only 2 options, because they kind of, people have a tendency just to figure out like they do a little bit of research and then they go, oh, this is the way it is, this or that. It's like, it doesn't work like that. And if only you knew, you'd know how much time you're essentially wasting by thinking that way, because it absolutely does not work like that. It's just that there's a lot of musicians that think it works like that. It's kind of like music business illiteracy. It's kind of what it is. Like, it's just, you just don't know that it's not like that. So,
well, and I see that all the time, Dylan, on social media. It's that a person will leave a comment. I've been doing this 25 years and not around here. You can't make that kind of money. It's like, that's your anecdotal evidence. That's your personal experience. That doesn't encapsulate the experience of the 1,000 musicians that are in your 100-mile radius. It's not like the one truth for everyone, because you've experienced it this way. So I just don't even try to argue with that anymore. It's like, okay, well, sure. That's what you believe, and that's true for you. Yeah.
And I totally got caught up in that myself. I was like, oh, you can't do that. And part of that frustration comes from, you don't want to believe that you're that stupid. Like, you don't want to believe that all you had to do was to shut up and learn something. And all those years of frustration you could have avoided by just being willing to shut up and listen. You don't want to admit that to yourself. So you just double down and you go, it's not possible.
But eventually I used to make the excuse of, I didn't know how. Well, if I knew
Yeah.
how, I would do it. And it's like,
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
heard of Google? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
so you just got to learn
Yeah.
stuff. You got to be willing, you got to be open-minded and you have to have
Yeah.
that like growth mindset that like, okay, maybe I'm not where of course I'm not where I want to be, but I can
Hmm.
get there if I
Hmm.
follow people that, can help me, or, I read books on the topic, or I take
Yeah.
courses on the topic, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah. So for me, the first step towards like kind of managing it was like admitting, accepting that it is a real thing in real life. It's actually true that there are gigs that pay upwards of several thousands of dollars doing the same exact thing, changing nothing, changing literally nothing that you do.
Yeah.
Those gigs are out there, and there's lots of them. You don't have to be like compete for bottom feeding gigs, try to undercut a guy who's playing for $200 and go, I'll do it for 175, I'll do it for 150. Like,
Yeah.
just throw that all away, get rid of it, stop doing it. Don't
Mhm.
do it like another day, and accept those gigs are out there. And then it becomes how do you find them? Go through the course. But one thing is thinking about like using your course kind of like as a tool to purchase your time back from yourself.
Yeah.
So instead of having to play 25 gigs a month, you can play 4 to 8, make just as much, if not more money. And so now your calendar is clear. And what I usually do is like I break my day up into like social media, writing, recording, and kind of like admin work. And I hate the admin work, but it's important. It's like sending out emails. I often hire a virtual assistant on Upwork to
Yeah.
send out emails because I just don't have time. And that's another thing that you'll start to think of once you start getting paid better. You're
Mhm.
like, okay, what things can I outsource?
Yeah.
Because now you start thinking like my time has a certain price on it. And when you're getting paid crap, you don't think that way. You're just like, I,
Right.
I need to accumulate enough money to eat to get to the next
Yeah.
month.
And you have to
But
do
then when
everything
you have
yourself.
yeah, and when you have a surplus, you go, okay, I'm actually losing money from my own business if I sit here and I send out emails all day.
Yeah.
I'm literally losing money. So I'm going to pay someone, $100 to do that, because if it takes 10 hours or whatever, it would take me 10 hours.
Yeah.
Is 10 hours of my time worth $100? No, not anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. And the best analogy I heard was somebody that mows their own lawn. And it's like,
Hmm.
if you're doing it to save money, think about it this way. What if your neighbor asked you to mow their lawn? Hey,
Hmm.
I'll give you $50. Like, no, it's not worth my time. Well, then why are you
Yeah,
mowing your own lawn? Like, unless you love
yeah,
it,
yeah,
unless you just like to
yeah,
get out there on the rider or drink a beer and enjoy the weather, some people
yeah.
do. But if it's a task that needs to be offloaded, you hire
Hmm.
a landscaper, right? So,
Yeah.
and when you start to look at the tasks, the things on your plate, what is your time worth based on what is your income? What are you getting paid?
Hmm.
And then you can say, well, these tasks are not worth my time because, yeah, I make more than $10 an hour. So to pay an admin $10 an hour to handle this is a
Yeah.
bargain, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and I think that's like it's a kind of like a paradigm shift you have when you realize that there's gigs paying this much. First of all, you want to cry, curl up into a ball and cry, because you're like, I wasted like legitimately 10 years of just
Yeah.
grinding and thinking this is all there was. So
Yeah.
you kind of then you get up off the ground and you wipe off your tears and you go, okay, so now I got to start thinking of this like a business person. And yeah, outsourcing anything, there's like, and you can have a specific number. Let's say it's like $50 an hour. Like anything that would be paying yourself $50 an hour it's more valuable for you to outsource, because that's taking away from money. Like if you go to your gigs and you factor in what you get paid hourly at your gig, but you also factor in like your travel and setup and tear down, and then like the time practiced. Let's say you get paid $1,000, but really you do spend more than the 3 hours of the gig. Let's say you
Yeah.
spend 10 hours, so it's like $100 an hour. So if you're getting gigs regularly, if you're doing something and you can outsource that for less than that price,
Exactly.
then it's worthwhile.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can then reallocate your time to more revenue generating activity, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there is one thing too, though, that a lot of people, I found this out, like even in the comments of some of your ads, is like people say, well, I just love to do it. And I would say that's why you're never going to make it. You have to, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but like you can't do it because you love it. Because everyone else in the circles are business people, and you're basically doing a charity act, like, and it's almost like you're guaranteeing your career or your ability to do this is going to be over at a certain point, and it's going to happen, like it's going to sneak up on you like a certain day, because you haven't thought about the future, and you're going to be a little bit older, and it'll be hard, and you just won't be able to do it, and you have nothing saved for the future, so you will have to switch, like you'll be forced to switch if you don't start thinking about that time now. And simply, like, because I love it, it's like it almost like sabotages you. Like, by
I
all
mean,
means,
that's why we
enjoy it.
get into music,
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly.
it won't last long if you can't make it a
Mm,
income stream in a business.
yeah,
You know, you have
yeah,
to pay bills, and you have to save money, and you have to do,
yeah.
all the things you
And
would
I
do
was,
with a W-2 job.
yeah, and I was in a band, and I loved playing in the band, but we didn't think of it like business people,
Yeah.
and it all disappeared. Like we couldn't continue because like we didn't plan out things, we didn't consider the career aspect, the forward motion. We weren't saving money, we weren't negotiating, but we weren't making it worth our time. And so it's like you can always make more money. You can never get back the time that's gone,
Yeah.
and that's another thing to really think about when you're doing this. But yeah, I basically use this course as a means to fund my originals, because you can make money from originals, and there's some really good groups that teach you how to do that. Damian Key's DK Business Academy is really good. Um, Indiepreneur is also another really great company for learning to market your original stuff, and they teach super granular, systematic,
Yes, they
like
do.
they go right into the Facebook ads, and they'll teach you like everything, like what to do at the campaign level, the ad set level. Um, take a video of you performing, cut the video up into intro, verse one, chorus, verse two, bridge, and put those in an ad set and test them all against each other to see what part of your song resonates with people, and then take that and then make a content series out of that. It's like so granular. So I totally recommend them for independent music stuff, but it does take a long time. Like with your course, you can start like doubling your money, like the day you're done with the course. It's just
Yeah.
instantaneous increase. With the indiepreneur stuff or original music stuff, it's a slow climb upward, because
Yeah.
when you're playing covers, you're essentially piggybacking on the success that has already been built. When you're writing
Right.
your own music,
Yeah.
you're having to get that, like nobody knows or
Well,
cares about you, and so you have
you
to
know,
establish that.
so real quick, just to go back to the beginning,
Mhm.
essentially what you're saying is the ability to play covers, make a really great fee, get your time back, has given you
Yeah,
the ability to invest that time into your original career, original songs. That is a slower ascent.
100%.
Okay.
Yep,
So
yep,
it's
exactly.
giving you that time versus like when you were playing 5 nights a week for $200 a night, you
Yeah,
don't have anything left for
yeah, you don't.
for your original music. And I was there 20 years ago
Hmm.
too. Um,
Yep.
so that okay, that's really cool. So that you can, and then I don't want to say compartmentalize, but essentially, you're going to work to earn the
Uh-huh.
money, and you're enjoying it because it's performing, and you also have better audiences, right? So like versus a bar crowd could be a very indifferent kind of cruel place where like
Yeah.
going to someone's house, like I was this past Saturday. I
Hmm.
walked out with 27 $2,750 in my Venmo account from this gig,
Yeah.
and I was treated like royalty. And then, the next day, just thanking me. We were so lucky we found you. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that is like the complete opposite of the bar scene. And
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
so you look at it that way, and where it's like
Hmm.
I'm going to work. Um, and there's also just a different like attitude towards it too. It's like, I really want to provide a service that people feel like they got their money's worth, right? Because that's what
Yeah.
it is. Like they feel like they got the value if what you're charging, is less than the perceived value of what you're giving. So, who's to say? Maybe I could have charged 5,000 for that gig. I don't know, but um,
Yeah.
all I know is that client felt like she was lucky, and
Hmm.
that was a deal.
Yeah.
And so yeah. Anyway, but for me, I feel like completely validated in that like what I'm doing is valuable. My
Hmm.
time is worth more, and my confidence is better. When before I didn't really know. I'm like, I'm playing to people who are indifferent and like watching TV. Like, am I even any good?
Yeah.
Do I have any
Yeah.
business doing this? you know,
Yep.
like,
Dude, so many gigs where I felt like that way. I'm like, maybe I should just quit. Like,
yeah,
because you see clips of other people singing and performing when the audience is into it, not realizing there's a context for each audience. And you cannot, like, I literally have a book by a guy who coached Taylor Swift on performing. And it's like the art of making a performance into a science where like you strategically choose each song on the set list and you make eye contact with different sections of the audience at different times. And he basically said like all of this is irrelevant with like that kind of audience. You
yeah,
can't win them over. Like you can do anything in the world, you'll never win. And you can't like look at Adele and go look at her audience and then look at my audience. I must suck. They don't care. Like if Adele was there, they don't. I mean, they would care because she's famous. But like if Adele, same talent level, but she wasn't Adele yet, they would ignore her. They would be like, yeah, you're great at singing, but move. I'm trying to watch the game. Like they do the
yeah,
same
yeah,
thing to her.
yeah, yeah,
And being
exactly.
famous is the override. Like wherever you go, people just that kind of overrides their face stuck in the TV. But yeah, there's like a dignity threshold where once the pay is a certain amount, you stop thinking a certain way. And you don't like for me, I don't care even if the audience doesn't care because now I have my bills paid and I don't have to worry. Like I don't feel like I'm on the treadmill. I just feel like I'm being paid for my service. So even if the audience is like totally, I was just 100% background music, then I'm like, you know what? Hey, that's okay. Like I have my money at least
Yeah,
as opposed to, yeah, the soul
and I'm
crushing gig where,
sure whenever that happens, you have people come
yeah,
up to you afterwards and say, "Oh my God, you were fabulous. I'm
every
sorry
time.
if
And it's
that we
so,
weren't
yeah,
clapping, but this was a
yeah,
wedding, and we were
yeah,
catching up
yeah,
with friends and family. But you were so
yeah,
your music was so beautiful. So you're gonna get that. So you're definitely
yeah,
appreciated. You know.
exactly.
So
And,
that
and,
happens
and
too.
yeah, that even if it's yeah, and I'm not even bothered by it. Like it's hard the days of the bar scene when they don't pay attention, they don't care. You feel like you're fighting with the TV and you're not getting paid. Like all the things that a gig could be, like
Yeah.
pay,
Yeah.
enjoyment, career. It's like none of those.
Yeah.
But this, at the very least, you're getting paid what you're worth, and then at the very best you're getting paid what you're worth and the people are into it and you have a good time and you make connections, you connect with the vendors, set yourself up for gigs in the future. So
Yeah.
it's like and it's almost like by charging the higher amount, it's almost like having a cover at a club where like people that are there just to cause problems, like they don't get in.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the kind of like the riffraff that are gonna just cause problems for you, like they're not gonna be there
That's
at
why
that
that's
event.
why they charge more for drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If
So yeah, you don't get heckled
yeah.
either, which is nice.
um well, this is really cool, man. Again, because you are obviously very energetic and you're passionate about what you're doing, and you know to be able to have a good steady income performing,
Hmm.
uh gives you the time to focus on the other aspects of your music career. And that's why this is a unique conversation, because I think that pretty much everyone I've spoken to on this series so far was just, strictly
Mm.
performers, which, and there's,
Mm.
that's cool. That's totally cool. But I identify with you because, I write songs as well. And so, and
Hmm.
that's like the very first thing that I would teach is like, hey, look, you want more time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
like the lifestyle business that I have is really cool, you know. Um, so money is important. It's not everything. You know,
Mhm.
if you have your bases covered and then some, and you've got time,
Yeah.
I say that's wealth. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And the goal is ultimately the goal is like just to have your time back. It's so that you don't feel like you're always having to be obligated just to get through the month to the next one. It's like money is just a means to an end to essentially get back your time, and then you can invest that time where you want rather than in what you must do. Um, and for original music, like and it's no longer doing original music is just like writing songs and releasing it. Like those days are done. They are done. Even if you're on a label, they're done. Like you have to create, you have to write, you have to engineer your stuff. I have a home studio. I have like
yeah,
literally right here. I have like a little ISO booth with a mic, and I made out of
yeah.
PVC pipe from Home Depot.
You have to TikTok 5 times a day.
You do. You have to make content,
Yeah,
design your own album artwork, submit to playlists, submit to bloggers, know how to use Facebook ads. So you are
yeah,
essentially a label, and you need a lot of time to do that. And you can't do it, if you're playing 4 or 5 nights a week, you can't just do it on like Saturday and Sunday. It's not enough time. Like you won't
yeah.
get momentum doing that. So every day you have to be at it. And I think this is like the well-paid musician is an ideal solution. I don't know why more musicians aren't, and I think original musicians, they don't understand. They don't want to. They're always like, "Oh, I
All
don't
or
want to be a
nothing.
cover artist."
Yeah, it's all or
I'm
nothing.
like, "Well, if you don't want to be a cover artist, I hope you're ready to be a good waiter, because that's what you're going to end up as if you're not willing to like. It's a very wise thing to do. And the other thing, there's nothing stopping you from sneaking an original song into your sets. And sometimes when I'm playing at a party, I will Spotify playlist my own songs on
Yeah,
Spotify into the
but
warm up playlist. And it's like I'm getting paid royalties for
but
those songs. It's not a lot, but
even cooler is that your clients become fans of you.
they can.
So
Yeah.
then they're on your email list. They're
Hmm.
uh listening to you on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. They're
Yeah.
even coming to your original shows. Like uh or you do, Kickstarter, and they're contributing to the, like, those are the really
Yeah.
cool things to see. Um Especially like wedding clients, I've found, because like you were such an integral part of their day. Um,
Yeah.
you know, that's a
Yep.
cool thing to see, to make fans out of your clients. So,
Hmm.
they paid you a premium, and now they're a fan of your music. Because they're a fan of you,
Yeah.
and that's what I think is a really cool thing. So,
Yeah.
um, so, to speak to your character, obviously you're very driven and I would say productive uh, and motivated person. So when you joined Well Paid Musician, like, you put
Hmm.
everything into it and went above and beyond. And I think that is the reason for your success, because you
Hmm.
can lead the horse to water. And so you're applying the same kind of stuff to your original music and your artist career, which, and
Hmm.
no doubt it's going to pay off for you. So I think that's a great investment of your time to
Hmm.
focus on. So yeah, man. Congrats to you. And if we could
Thank you.
switch gears for a second,
Sure.
because we got started a little late.
Hmm.
And I do have some questions I wanted to get to. Definitely two that I'll ask at the end, but let me just check my notes here real quick.
Okay.
Um,
And I don't know if people can see the chat between us, but that I posted it up. I've been using Midjourney, which is an AI video text to picture software that you can create your own album artwork, and it
uh,
does a phenomenal job. And then I have another AI
that's not
software that takes.
visible.
Oh, it's not visible. Oh
No.
man. Okay.
But
Oh,
what I
that
can do,
stinks.
I can copy it, because there's a chat on YouTube.
Okay.
So I can copy this. What do you want to share?
It's a cover of me. It's a I did a cover of Norwegian Wood, and it's the album art artwork for that cover because when you submit a song to Spotify, you need album artwork. So I created my own album artwork. I used Midjourney to create the visuals, and then I put it in Canva and put the lyrics over it. And then I made different assets with like animated text and like video loops for the Spotify canvas that plays over and over, and for a YouTube loop and stuff like that. And that can get really expensive, but if you're releasing your original music, that's a very like it's $8 a month for a subscription to Midjourney. I was paying like $350 to have someone design these for me. And
Yeah,
if you
it
got,
looks really cool. I don't know why I can't copy and paste it.
Okay.
So well, I'll just put it, you know what? I'll put this in the description after we're done. And I'll also, we can easily post this in the Facebook group. But
Okay, cool.
no, this artwork is sick.
Yeah, it came out pretty good. In Midjourney, like there's a bunch of AI softwares that do visuals, and I've used a few of them, and they don't come close to Midjourney. Like that's the one. Get it, and you can just do some wild stuff with it. It's so good, and it's fun. It's like actually enjoyable to do. So
Sweet.
So,
okay. Yeah, we'll share those links. I'll put them down in the
Okay.
description after this is done, and I'll put them in the group. All right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we really didn't talk about how you get these kind of private event gigs. And one of the things I'd like to ask is, what do you feel is the most important part of your marketing or presentation when it comes to getting new private event clients?
So I think it can vary person to person depending on what your specific demographic of people, like who is your audience and what are they wanting. So I can tell you what works for me is my promo video is like
Video.
every time I have a client, the last question I ask on our phone call, always do a live call, and you want to get that live call as fast as possible. Get them on the phone quickly as possible. And the ironic thing about it, don't talk business soon as possible. Get them on the phone soon as possible and just talk to them. And eventually it will lead to that. But if you can just like talk to them like you're a friend, that works well. That works really well. But the very last question I ask them is, what was the thing when you were looking through all the different musicians, what was the thing that made you go with me instead of somebody else? About 85% of the time they say it was your video, your promo video. Now, my video is technically breaking some of the rules because it's pre-recorded audio and it's not even recorded pretending to sound live. It's like there's like background vocals and all these other things, but it still is working. And I think part of it is get a promo video between 1 and 2 minutes. The promo video should consist of only the chorus of your most well-received songs in order of the one that is the absolute most quintessential you. Like your USP and the way your brand is, what first song shows that to a person the most? And then what shows it to them the second most, and then the third most, and then the fourth, etc., until you're out of 2 minutes. That's what it should be. And also on top of that, put quotes of things that people have actually said about you in the video. If you pair those two things together, like you're simultaneously showing a person who your brand is, what your vibe is, and you're dispelling their reluctance to go with you because you're showing social proof at the same time. So it's I was trying to combine different elements of some of the stuff that is in the your chorus, like all at once, and this like totally works. The other thing they say, let me see. I write this down. Hold on. I have I actually have a document where I record my conversations with acoustic live music client booking swipe file. There we go.
Nice.
I found it. Also, I would recommend having one of these. Just a text.
General audience, just because we're on YouTube and not in the private group. You said USP, and what that means is unique selling proposition. So essentially, like how you stand out. So when I'm asking Dylan what he thinks is the most important part of his presentation, we're really talking about the online customer journey. Because if you meet people in person, they see you perform and you get referrals that way and you have a network. That's a whole other side of it. But you have to get the gig first. So what do you do if you don't want to work with a booking agent, or you just don't even know how to get those type of gigs? Well,
Hmm.
if you follow the online customer journey, like, have you ever hired someone, like you mentioned Upwork? Like, go online and try to hire someone to do a job and just map out that process. Like, where did I go? Like, where did it bring me? Look up other musicians, or how to hire musicians, and just kind of follow that process and see, well, okay, well, what's the discovery process? So once you get that down, your very first thing is going to be video, because this is a person that is looking to hire a performer, yet isn't going to see you live. And if the only touch points are, website and YouTube or whatever it would be, then you really have to wow them with your video. And then you have to overcome that source of distrust, right? So you need online reviews. So essentially what I'm trying to do is, because we're doing this live on YouTube to the public, like I'm just basically kind of trying to summarize like the things that we talk about
Yeah.
in the program, and why this works. But basically, like, I'm just reiterating what you said, but explaining it in terms of like the way I teach it in the program. So you took those ideas and ran with it, and it's really worked well for you. So I think it would be cool. That promo video is on the homepage of your website that you shared.
Should be. And I sent you a link to I have a new website. I just switched over from Bandzoogle to Webflow as a host. But my promo video should be on the
So
it
what
might
if
be on the
I
homepage.
what if I open this and then?
If it doesn't work,
Well,
then try that
I'll
one.
share this screen, see what I can do here.
Okay.
Let's just look at your website.
I'm actually not sure if my new website has my promo video on the front page, but if it doesn't, the second link I sent, the dylangalvin.com, should. But I think it would be good if people saw that's my new one. That's my new website.
Okay, so this one, because I remember your old one had that promo video. I mean, does this show up on mobile?
Yes, it
Yes?
should. Yep.
Perfect,
Yep.
because I know a lot of these
It better.
videos don't show up on mobile. So this, I mean, right off the bat, there's no audio, but
Hmm.
it obviously looks like you are playing at a high-end private event. But I'm just trying to get to that specific video that you were talking about. So we can share that.
If
We can share that in a.
Yeah, it might be under weddings. If you click on weddings,
Yeah.
it should show. Why is it not there? Okay, maybe
All right.
it's
Well,
under.
this is another one we can share. Is it on your website? I know you just
Try
redid it.
private and corporate events. I know. I usually know my website really well.
Ah,
Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go.
there
Got
it
it.
is.
That's it. See, the perfect vibe for your event. That's like my USP, my little branding, and there's the video with the quotes.
I'm gonna. Well, I guess I'm not gonna. I was gonna say I'm not monetizing this video anyway, so I'll play the cover songs.
Yeah, the labels are gonna come after you.
Yeah, I mean, it's super pro. Yeah, man, this is awesome. So, what does something like this cost to put together?
Okay. It can vary significantly, but so the very first video that I did, me playing "Shut Up and Dance" in that blue room, which is the next video, is I think just that song. That was that one I got. I had a couple friends who were filmmakers, and they did that for me. I think for free, but that's rare. The second video of me playing "All My Lovin'," that was me with an iPhone in my bedroom. And the secret to making something look cinematic is right here. This is you want 3-point lighting. You want a lighting kit. The brand is Dracast. You
Yeah,
want
those are easy to find. Like I have one on each side here
yeah.
with
You want
diffusers.
yeah, three of those. You want one like one in the back to kind of give you a light silhouette, and then you want one in the front for your key light, and then another one for your fill light, and that will drastically increase the resolution of even an iPhone. And the cool thing is with an iPhone, if you go into the settings of an iPhone, you can switch it over to Pro Max and increase the resolution. Now the downside is it takes up like it's recording at like 1 gigabyte per second. Like it is an insane amount of information, and you run out of space, so you need a huge amount of space on your phone. But if you get an iPhone, and there's also a company called Sandmark, and they make special telephoto and wide lenses you can screw onto your actual phone, and it will give you a more cinematic look, and you just get a tripod and you film yourself. And you generally want to do manual focus, not automatic, because it will come in and out. So you have to kind of do a little troubleshooting, and you want to use the screen share feature on your phone, this right here, and you want to get a monitor, because you never want to use the selfie camera to record yourself because it's crap.
Not
You
as
want to
good,
flip it
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Use the front facing one on the back of the phone.
If you have a Mac or iPad, now you can just use those as monitors off your phone, and vice versa. Like I'm on OBS right now, and it's giving me the option. Like I could use my phone as one of the cameras because I'm using a Mac, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Mac is very musician friendly.
I have some tutorials on video stuff, because if people don't have the budget to hire professionals, you can do this stuff DIY.
Gotcha.
And to be honest, like my personal experience is a video I performed in the hallway of my old apartment like 10 years ago. Just with a DSLR that has gotten me hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gigs. So like, the vibe was right. The song was right. It was just, that's really what it is. Yours are super, this is really professional. And I think that the range is cool too, because there's a lot of different environments. So, there's a lot of ways to do it right. Doing it wrong, the typical thing I see is just like, here's me playing at the bar with everyone talking over me with one static angle. Well, why would you put that out there? But people think that, oh, well, I put out video. Like, yeah, but would you hire you?
Yeah, exactly. I would say you don't need, so what I did, you don't need the whole production. That will, like, to get a really good video, you're probably looking at like a minimum of $1,000 per video. Like a single shot of someone holding a camera and kind of moving smoothly works better than a static shot. Live works better than pre-recorded. And an interesting location works better than a typical location. All those three things combined, but you can go all out and get all the production. That won't work against you, but it's not necessarily what the thing that wins over a person. Like if there's two people and they both had the same quality of everything, but one of them was live and one of them was pre-recorded, as time goes on and people are getting more and more sensitive to kind of like going, you pre-recorded that. We're getting really smart to that. The actual live recording is gonna start working better than the pre-recorded stuff, but it hasn't fully like filtered out through all of society yet, so you can still get by.
You can, and I think your video quality can be lesser too, because if it's positive audience engagement, if people are singing along, if people are dancing, if people are clapping, then what you're doing is you're capturing the vibe in the room, what it's like to hire you, and that is so important because just make it easy for the customer. Put them in the setting, like, oh I want this thing, you do that thing, hire you. Like, just make it that easy.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's almost like, if you can think of it, I know it's kind of hard sometimes, but think of it like, strip away the scene and even the music, and what is the thing that's emotionally happening in you when you're doing that? Convey that through the video. Convey that through the video. That's the thing to focus on, and everything else is is secondary to that. Um, and I'll actually, so see here, I was gathering some quotes from different people. I actually asked the question of like, what was the thing that you
Yeah.
hired me for? So
Yeah.
one person said, I didn't want a full band. I love the acoustic. I shared the link with fiance. The reviews were great. Tracks and video sounded great. Range of songs, talent, comments in the reviews really helped. So the reviews were working for me with them. Another one said, Mark went through many online musicians, and I stood out the most. Versatile, the way I sound, the guitar skills were awesome. I was upfront with my rates, had a good look, very detailed on profile. Website was really good. Last one said, website was easy to follow, lots of sound clips and videos. The introduction to me and lots of good information. So,
I think
website is super helpful.
you
Yeah.
just touched on something, because as I was going through a process of hiring a contractor, everybody wanted to talk on the phone. I'm like, no, just tell me what the price is. And I hired the guy
Hmm.
that put the price in the email. I'm like, okay, that's a fair price. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put my prices out there as a fee, regardless if it's 5 minutes or it's 3 hours, up to 3 hours. I don't do an
Yeah.
hourly because I don't want people prorating. I will do a prorate for overtime, which works incredibly well, but I will not prorate down my fee. So
Yeah.
having your fee out there, because then people are like, okay, well, you know, that you're not raising the rate based on whether it's a wedding or a corporate event or
Yep.
a house party or whatever, you know, and it seems more transparent. So I do think that's a good point to touch on.
Yeah. And also, I talked to someone named Moses Lynn, who is, I mean, he is, you talk about well-paid musician. This guy is, he is making an amounts of money that I just are unheard of, even when you get into this group. Like, even when you get in here and you realize, no, the ceiling's not 300, it's like 3,000. Like, he's pulling like 10K.
Per gig.
Sometimes I think even more than that. And one thing he said that I thought was a really great piece of advice is like, charge a higher rate for that first hour, and then charge like a couple $100 for the additional hour, because no one is gonna want to miss out on the deal of like, well, if it's like 1,500 for 1 hour and it's 1,700 for two, I might as well get the two. And it will help dispel this idea that people, they see that you play for 3 hours and they want to try to go, well, if he'll play that much for 3 hours, then maybe he'll do less for 2 hours. Like, it'll get rid of that, because no one's going to ever ask you to play. It's very unlikely to play less than an hour. So have that be a higher rate and then stack the additional hours like a much lower amount per hour after that. I'm like, that's a good way to kind of get around when people want to try to like talk you down from your base rate, or just say, you know, I don't show up for less than this. And I have that all on my profiles. Like, my minimum rate, absolute minimum, is 1,000, which usually kind of weeds out people so they don't
Yeah.
waste your time, because it
Well,
sucks to
right.
get a
And
lead on
also,
thumbtack.
exactly, too, because you don't want to have an awkward conversation or invest any time into someone for them to go, oh, that's too much money. Like,
Yeah,
if they
exactly.
see your pricing, and then there's, you know, that conversation doesn't need to be had.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yep.
awesome, man. We're just about coming to an hour here, and there was like 2 questions that I love to ask
Cool.
everyone that I interview in this series. And again, for anyone watching who is not familiar with Well Paid Musician, it's a training program, a community with group coaching that helps performing DJs and musicians find private event gigs, like Dylan's talking about. So, Dylan,
Yes.
you've definitely touched on this, but can you answer this specifically? How has your mindset about getting paid a premium changed since joining the program?
Ooh. I think that the way that you should think about getting paid a premium is, right now, if you're not getting paid a premium, like, let's say you get paid $300. Let's be generous, $400 per gig per night. And if you were willing to invest in educating yourself financially about this, you could make several times more, 5 times more, maybe even 10 times more if you're really good. Um, every gig that you don't, every gig that you wait, take the amount of money that you could make subtract that from your bank account. That's the amount of money you are spending to not learn this information. So it will cost you a certain amount to go through this course, right? It's costing you thousands and thousands of dollars every month you don't. And you need to think about this, because your time is going with or without you. Like, with or without you willing to learn, you're losing your time. It's just gone. It's gone. It's gone. You never get it back. So like, you need to think of this as like, do it yesterday. Like, not only go through this course, like just start buying courses. Learn as much as you possibly can. And it's hurting you to not. It's hurting you, and you're basically just throwing your time and your energy away to not know the information. And it's almost a guarantee your career will be cut short, and you won't be able to do what you love sooner than later, because in order to have any business, you have to keep in mind like inflation and things that happen in the economy and your future, and what if you get injured, and you need a buffer of money for all those things. And if you're just living off of like, paycheck to paycheck, you can't do that. So get this. It's great to be able to be paid what you're worth. You'll be able to really care about every aspect of the process, rather than kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to really value what you do when other people aren't. And you really, if you don't value what you do, other people will not value what you do. And realizing that people will pay what you are worth, but you have to find them. Realizing that takes a huge load off your shoulders, and you can really start like increasing the quality of your, like the professional aspect of your brand. Even if the music doesn't change, it's not like all of a sudden you're going to, become an opera singer from taking the course, but like you'll start caring about things that maybe you didn't care about before, like what you wear to the gig, like how many times you wash, like, oh, I'm going to get my car washed before I go to the gig because I want my car to look nice when I show up. Like just little things that you just normally wouldn't care about because you're not getting paid anything for it. So who cares? You'll start caring, and that's good. That helps your brand, and your brand is valuable. Your brand is probably the most valuable thing about this, is what people think when they see your brand, they come across your brand. So it gave me like a little bit more focus on the brand overall. Like what am I conveying? What is the Dylan Galvin brand? And I never used to, think I would show up, in flip-flop and khaki cargo shorts and, but now it's usually suits, to gigs. So
if I saw you in cargo shorts, I might heckle you.
I have a Facebook picture of me at a gig, like wearing plaid cargo shorts, flip flops, and like a tank top. And I'm like, no, that's every no combined. Like,
I would do.
I'm
those
sorry
at
if you wear
beach
cargo
gigs,
shorts,
but that's the only place I would do them. But
if it's a beach gig, yeah.
So essentially, what you're saying about your mindset change is that just knowing it was possible. Once you knew it was possible, and you started to get those better paying gigs, you're like, why didn't I do this years ago? That's kind of the way I'm interpreting. So awesome.
Yeah, yep.
So if you could give one piece of advice for performers making that transition out of those low paying gigs, what would it be?
Oh man, only one piece of advice. The good news about all of this is your music. It's very unlikely the music is holding you back. For some people it is. Like some people it's like, bro, you got to practice more. Like you can't like stop in the middle of the song and check your lead sheet. Like that's totally crappy. Don't ever do that. And but for most people it's not that. Your music is good enough. Like you don't have to be a great musician. You can, if you're mediocre or better, like you will gain tremendous amounts from this course. Like you do not have to be a super high level musician. If you are an average musician, like you can hold a tune, you can hold a note, you can play and sing at the same time. What's holding you back is business illiteracy. You don't know how to run a business. You don't know anything about it. And trust me, if you're a musician, I will say this, you are probably one of the worst business people in the world, which is why musicians are notorious for being taken advantage of in the music industry, because we have no idea what we're doing and we go, I just love to play. It's like, well, all the business people love to make money, and that's why you get the bad deal. But this will give you a crash course into fundamental business principles that will drastically improve your life as a musician and your branding as a musician and the professional aspect as a musician, which I mean, you could probably piece like 60% of it together if you want to spend like 6 months online. I mean, probably more than that. But this is like, it's a crash course. It takes a week to do everything in the course. Like, get the course and stop wasting your time. Just get it, do it, and you'll thank everyone in the group later. And the people who I know personally, like personal friends of mine who are musicians, they did not have the course, and I hounded on them. I told them, get the course, just get the course. And they're like, well, I don't know. It's, it's a little bit of, costs a little bit. And I'm like, just do it. Just do it. And they did it. And guess what? They're like, I'm so glad I got this course. I wish I would have done this so many years ago. I can't believe. Exactly. Just do it. Just Nike. Whoosh, just do it.
Well, thanks, man. And what? Honestly, I'm not trying to turn this into a commercial for the program, but what I'm hearing you say essentially is like, if you're just starting out, trying to make the transition to higher paying gigs, get out of that bar scene grind, it's probably not your music that's holding you back. It's your business,
definitely not. Yeah.
your business acumen, right? And how you're presenting yourself and marketing yourself. And so, yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, because, like we discussed earlier, there is a lot of self-doubt when your audience is indifferent. You feel like, well, maybe I'm not good enough to be doing this. You just need to change the audience. You need
the audience sucks. They're wrong.
Yeah, they are wrong. They don't care. And it's not them specifically. It's just you got put in front of them when they're trying to watch a baseball game,
Yeah.
or you got put in front of them, when they're just trying to have dinner and catch up with old friends. Like they didn't want to hear music. That's okay. That's not that, you didn't know that. So yeah, it's not your music, guys. Unless you really are just not good enough yet. It's probably not your music. It's probably your marketing and your business acumen.
Keep in mind, there was an experiment where they took the #1 violinist on planet Earth alive today, and they put him in a subway.
Busking.
He was playing in the opera house, or that venue later that night. They put him in the subway, and they had him play the same thing. Nobody cared. And that's the best in the world. That's the best person on the violin in the world, and they don't care about him. So why would they care about you? It's like, you're just in the wrong place.
They're trying to get their coffee. They're trying to get in and out of the train station. They don't have time for that. But that guy was charging probably $500 a ticket that night.
Oh yeah, and that night people went nuts. They all So it's all about context. And when you're playing the bar gigs, you're in the wrong context. I mean, it's like teaching a tap dancing lesson to someone who's in an ambulance. Like, they don't care. They're dying. Like, they just, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing you could do to sway them. It's just not going to work. So you got to get out of that, get out of the ambulance, and go to the place where people are like, man, it'd be great, some live music. It's like, yes, that's the gigs that we're going towards.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you. And, you have been so generous with your knowledge and experience since you've been a member of the program, very active in our community. We had some friends who are on the live chat in YouTube here saying hello. But yeah, I want to thank you again, Dylan. You are a rock star. And you've been a big advocate for the program. So personally, I want to thank you for that as well. I'm going to wrap up this on YouTube.